All right, Sicklers, how y'all doing? My warriors, what y'all got going on today? It is a nice, cold, wet Saturday. I'm fresh up out the ER, and I saw some of y'all posts about wishing you weren't here. Saw some of y'all posts about not wanting to pass your disease on to your child, questioning about why even pursue a relationship or family. All right, man. All right, man. Everybody's pain is their pain. I can't say that your pain is any better or worse than my pain is. I can't say what you should or should not be feeling. Well, damn it, man. You were in a rush. Hope you get where you're going safely. Y'all. Folk in Columbus can't drive. But look, man. I've tried to unalive myself on a couple of different occasions. I can remember waking up from one particularly really painful and yeah, I'm supposed to be trying to quit smoking, but this is my only real vice. If I drink alcohol, it's got to be top shelf, cheap shit, puts you in the ICC, puts you in the hospital. It dehydrates you worse. If you're going to drink, man, have a shot of water, a shot of liquor, or whatever. Make sure you drink equal amounts, if not double the amount of water if you're going to drink like that. If you just got to. But look, I've tried to do it. I've taken a bunch of pills, crushed them up, mixed them with isopropyl alcohol, and injected them into I had a central line port at the time. I was done with it. I woke up from that operation. I was hurting. I was miserable. I was like 22. Didn't have no kids. Didn't see no future. I was done with it. And I guess the creator said that he had other things for me because the biggest thing that happens, I got extra high. I took like 5, 10, 15 milligram Demerol tablets and crushed them up in the alcohol and injected it. And the room spun for about an hour or two. I threw up and laid there, passed out, went to sleep, and woke up the next day pissed off that I was still here. I remember waking up from that surgery being blowed as hell and angry that I was still alive. I will be 54 next month on the 20th. My oldest child is now 29. Just got out the Air Force. Currently works for Gulfstream. He's a jet engine technician, making 6 figures. I don't make nowhere near that money. I'm on disability. But my son did the one thing I asked him to do, which was stay out my pocket. Daddy ain't got the money like that. Love you. I'll give you any kind of support I can. Just know that financial support on my end might be a little lacking. I took care of you for your 18 years, always made sure that child support and everything was straight after me and your mom divorced. Yeah, she divorced me from my best friend, then cheated on him too and divorced him 13 years later. But that's a whole nother epic. Life is life, man. Relationships are relationships. People are people. You do your best to find somebody that's real and is gonna be your true day one and hang in there with you. Depression isn't a thing that can be cured. It doesn't go away. It's something that you deal with day to day, moment to moment. You're gonna have your moments when you're gonna be high off life and happy. You're gonna have your moments when you're depressed. That shit can come back to back. Somebody can sit there and pass you a check for $10,000, and 5 minutes later, you lose the check. You're gonna be happy and blowed all in the same breath. You're gonna be depressed. You're gonna think the worst of yourself. Get over it. There's other shit to do, man. I need y'all to come up off of that. Your pain, while it is your pain, you're not the only person in pain. You're not the only person suffering. Sickle cell is not the only disease that is traumatic to the body, traumatic to the mind and the spirit. Where other people try and connect with you, and they're trying by saying, oh, well, I have this condition, or I have a friend that has that, or a family member. Or oftentimes they'll go, I got a cousin that got sickle cell, or I know I went to school with a person that had sickle cell and they died. That's not necessarily trying to make you feel to make you feel bad or anything. That's more or less them trying to wrap their mind around it. This is something that we deal with. This is our shit. You got that part down. Y'all got that. I see that in the comments. Y'all got that down clearly. The part y'all are missing is that when other people are doing things like that, they're not trying to be funny. Stop being so goddamn sensitive about it. If you want real help, you want your medical team to give you that care and that respect that you want and treat you like a person, stop being so defensive. Stop being so sensitive, because sometimes y'all are. I'll be in the next bay listening to y'all. I'll be in the next room. We might share the same doctor, and while I may not know your medical case and who you are exactly, I'm smart enough to extrapolate who it is and what's going on with you. I earned my medical degree by paying attention, by learning, by asking questions, by challenging the doctors. That's how I earned my medical degree. I didn't go to school. I was the test subject. And everything they did to me, I wanted to know, explain it. Nah, don't explain it to me in medical jargon, break it down to layman's terms. Then I carried my butt to the medical library and got the books out and actually sat in the hospital while I was in there with an IV hooked up to me and researched, sat there with the dictionary and learned the medical jargon. So now I can speak to doctors in layman terms. I can translate it into personal examples that they can understand. Like one that I'll give medical students when I'm talking to them is this. A sickle cell crisis can feel like, remember that time you went to the doctor and got your blood pressure done? And the blood pressure cuff got a little too tight on your arm? That kind of pain, that ooh. Yeah, it was that, but it can move. It might be in your arm. It might be in your leg and move to your back. A jump scare can do it. Like right now I'm in traffic driving. And if you notice, my eyes stay on the road because you don't have to look at your device while you're driving. God, I hate when people do that. I don't, fuck. We're doing 80 miles an hour and you act like you have to talk to the phone and look at it. No, you don't. Just project your voice. Anywho, sidetrack, tangent, sorry. I'm medicated, so it is that. But you have to advocate for yourself. But within that, there must be a balance. You can't go in always all warrior, swords, knives, guns, and completely ready for battle. But just as much as them walking into the room with that little look on their face that makes you go, ah, hell, here we go again. They looking at me like I'm a drug seeker. When they see you and see that look on your face, they looking at you the same way. Ah, hell, here we go again. This person about to give me some attitude. This is about to be difficult. They working on a 12-hour, the 12th hour of a 72-hour rotation. They people too. They ain't just doctors there to serve us. They're people too with their own stuff going on, man. Connect with them. I make sure I ask all my medical teams, all my staff members, all my nurses, doctors, whoever. Even when I'm out working, I make sure I ask people, how are you doing? And I ask them because I sincerely want to know. Call it my own social experiment, trying to figure out how much of America is not doing as well as everybody would like to think on the news. Because we're hurting on all levels. If you ain't CEO, COO, C-suite class, middle level down, everybody's being squeezed and put under pressure some kind of way. The medical teams, the pharmaceutical rep, the insurance people that work in the doctor's office trying to get you a pre-approval for a prior authorization for your medication. Everybody's going through it. We're all being squeezed. That translates into how your healthcare turns out. That translates into the attitudes that you receive from the medical team. And when you come in, and yeah, I know you're hurting, but you come in with a messed up attitude and they've already had a long night with a bunch of other people messed up attitudes, screaming and yelling at them, oh, we're going to the right. Because apparently they don't know how to get off that red light up there. Okay. But they're dealing with their own stuff. Take some of that aggression and defensiveness about your situation out of it, man. Actually try to connect with other people. Sympathy is, I feel sorry for you. Empathy is, I feel your pain. I can tell you about the pain of losing your best friend, your day one. I can tell you about going through a divorce. I can tell you about losing grandparents. I can tell you about dealing with parents becoming ill and me being worried about them because I'm used to being the one in the bed that's sick and then having to be the one that's standing over their bed while they're sick and feeling like I'm trapped behind a glass wall because I'm not the doctor. There's nothing I can really do for them except be there to comfort them. That can be a painful position to be in for some people and they can't deal with it. So they stop going to the hospital with you, especially after the 5th time this month. Especially after you were in the hospital for a month, got out for 3 hours and went right back in. I think the fastest turnaround I ever had was I spent an hour at the hospital after being in the hospital for 2 weeks, got home, was already hurting, and technically it was they let me go because the insurance company would no longer pay for me to stay any more days. So my doctor said, hey man, if you still hurting, I'm looking at your labs and your numbers. I know that you're not right. I know you're not good. So if you need to, go home and turn right back around and come back. They'll be forced to readmit you. They can't kick you back out. But all that against medical advice, leaving the hospital and stuff, all you're doing is building up a reputation with the medical staff that you are a difficult sickle cell patient. And the more you're that, the worse your treatment is going to be. It ain't just about your black skin. It ain't just because you're a sickler. It's a fucked up attitude. Straighten out your mentality. Deal with the cards you've been dealt with, man. I ain't trying to be hard on nobody. I'm simply telling you what real is. If you want to survive this, you want to get to a point where I have children. I have a soon to be 29-year-old son. I have a soon to be 17-year-old stepson that I've raised since he was 3 months in his mother's womb. I have an 11, soon to be 12-year-old daughter. I have a 3-year-old daughter that just turned 3 on December 9th. And I have 3 granddaughters. It's funny because one of my granddaughters is younger than my baby daughter, and the other granddaughter is in between my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter. Yeah. But if you want to see a possibility of having any of that, if you want to see answers to any of these questions that you're posing on Reddit and other platforms, you got to toughen up a little bit. You got to come through with a better diet for yourself. You got to come through with the heart to continue forward. Because one thing about having my children, despite the divorce and the ups and downs of relationships and everything, those little faces have been the reason that I've gotten out of bed when I was in a crisis, because I know that they need to eat and mommy got to work. So I'm home with the babies, just like I'm going home now. And I just got out the ER. I'm going to go home. I'm going to lay down, catch me a nap, make sure I hydrate a little bit better than what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to get up after that nap and go ahead and make some pasta. I use ground lamb, some fresh peppers, orange, yellow, maybe some green. I got some lion's mane mushrooms, some nice fresh tomatoes. I'm going to start off with some jar sauce, and I'm going to zhuzh it up myself to season it to the way that I like it to taste. There's going to be some Manuka honey in there. There's going to be some, what's the stuff? I actually have to go look at the seasoning up in the house. It begins with a T. It's orange. It makes everything orange in the food. If you put it in white rice, it turns it yellow. I'm trying to think of it. Can't remember it right now. But I'm going to do that and use the lamb instead of the beef, because the beef gives you the meat sweats and it makes you feel a little sluggish. Plus, the way that they process beef meat nowadays, they use what's called a water knife to shave every last little bit of meat off that bone. And if you look at the grains of the ground beef, it's no longer little crumbles like it used to be. It's little tiny threads. And that stuff gets stuck inside your intestinal wall. It doesn't pass through as easily. That's part of the reason that we're having so many issues with colon cancer and stuff like that. But your mental, man. Find those joys. Find those passions. Find those people that will ride with you. And don't push them away. The ones that'll make sure that you get your medicine, that you took it, they'll take you to the pharmacy. They'll get up out their bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the hospital with you, no matter how tired they are. Yeah, they got to be to work at 7 a.m. They'll still get up and take you. Those are your peoples. Love them. Cherish them. But take some of the tude out of it. It's not all about you. Be better to yourself, be better to the people around you, and stand up for each other. And bring your authentic self to the party. Stop worrying about what people are going to think if you tell them you got sickle cell. Stop hiding it. Because if you pass out in class, you fall into a crisis in class and people are standing around looking at you crazy instead of getting you together, making sure you got your meds and rushing you to the ER. That's on you. That's not them. When I was a frat boy in college, before everything turned into what it became and all the operations started happening, my frat brothers and the sweethearts in my fraternity and my personal circle of friends, they knew about my sickle cell. They came to the hospital. They supported me. They would change what restaurant we agreed to eat at just to accommodate my dietary needs. Make sure that there was something on the menu that I could eat, especially since I was vegetarian at the time, which is crazy because I ended up getting salmonella poisoning from Shoney's breakfast bar. And that's what led to me having, what? A fever of 108, which turned into me tearing the capsule of my right shoulder while I was in the hospital for that month-long stay. The salmonella poisoning got into my shoulder capsule and it's turned into 7 operations for irrigation and debridement back to back. They took me down back to back for that. A week straight. Took me down emergency surgery the day that I went into the ER after they aspirated the shoulder. Took me down. My mom dropped me off at the hospital that morning because I'd already been in the hospital for like a month for the salmonella poisoning. I came home and my right shoulder swelled up to the size of a grapefruit and it was hot to the touch. And I kept telling my mom for the first couple of days I was home, something's not right. The rest of me is cool, but this shoulder is hot. It's burning up. Fine, I'll take you to the ER in the morning. Takes me to the ER, drops me off at the entrance and goes, well, I got to go to work because ain't nobody else going to pay these bills but me. I'm 19. I go in, see the doctor. Doctor goes, well, I got to aspirate your shoulder. Hits me with a little liquid free stuff to numb the skin. Sticks the needle in, pulls out the synovial fluid, and shows me the syringe and says something that only a doctor can say and sound smart saying it. I can't be certain without a blood test, but I think this might be infected. I'm looking at the synovial fluid and I'm like, Doc, here's a quarter, find the nearest payphone and call whatever medical school you graduated from and let them know you want your money back because I can tell you that that's infected. And he's like, how do you know that? Because synovial fluid is supposed to be clear like water and about the consistency of glycerin. That stuff looks like thick lemonade. That's pus. Test comes back about 30 minutes later. He told me, while we were waiting on the test, he told me that he thought I might have septicemia. I'd never heard the term before. So while he was waiting on the test to come back, I rolled my little happy ass down to the medical library in the hospital. It wasn't that far from the ER, and asked the librarian for a book on septicemia. And they got me the book and I sat down, I started reading, and I couldn't really wrap my head around what it was saying at the time. And I broke it down. I said, okay, septicemia, septic tank, septic system, trash. So I have trash in my shoulder. Got it. Put the book back, went back to the room in the ER. Doctor comes back in and says, well, you have an infection in your shoulder and it's salmonella and we've got to operate. I'm like, okay, all right, so when? Now, since it's your shoulder and it's close to your head and your heart, we've got to do it immediately. I called my mom. I let her know what's what at her job. I called at her job and let her know what's what. This is before cell phones, so it's not like she could just pick the phone up out of her purse and answer it. She literally had to have somebody go to her classroom and let her know she needed to come up to the office to receive this call from me about me being sick at the ER and what the doctor's about to do. And I'm telling her that they're about to send me into emergency surgery. By the time they got me gowned up and ready to go to the OR, my mom comes flying into the hospital around the corner in the hallway, and I'm sitting on the side of the gurney, and I look back and I see her, and I go, bye, Mom. And they roll my ass on into the OR. I was 19, man. I done had car wrecks where I done hit 7 trees. Matter of fact, I hit 9 trees in 1 year, driving cabs, trying to make money. One of them was going to go check on that same mother of mine because she called me one night while I was working, screaming and crying because her own illness had caught up with her. And the same woman that used to tell me to grin and bear it couldn't grin and bear it. And she called me and left a voicemail on my phone, screaming and crying, calling my name. And I told the passenger that I had at the time, excuse me, sir, for the way I pull out of here, but my mom my mom just left me a voicemail. She's sick. I'm an only child and I got to go check on my mama. And I hit the road. And when I hit the road, I tore out of there and I did 120 miles an hour, 125 from the Bull River Bridge near Tybee Island in Savannah, Georgia, all the way back into Savannah to Montgomery. And I can't think of the middle street where I was at where the accident actually happened. But if you were to pull it up on Google Maps, it would be Montgomery Street on between Durin and 62nd Street. If you sit there and go down Google Maps, you'll see that there's a little laundromat on the left-hand side, and across the street from it is a stand of pine trees. Somebody pulled out in front of me and swung the medium brake like they were going to cut through and go into the neighborhood to my right called Sylvan Terrace. And they stopped, blocking up the left lane, so I slowed down to let them go by. And they started like they were going to go, and they stopped again. Now this time they're blocking up the left lane and most of the right lane. And I see a little bit of road between their front bumper and the curb, and I choose to try and go around them. It's too late to stop at that point. I'm either hit them or go around. Well, I go around them, and I see the picture aimed to the front windshield. I can see the trees, then I see the road line back up properly. Then I feel a little jerk like that. And the next thing I know, I'm looking back at the trees. And on the other side of those trees is a little parallel road that runs in the first row of houses. And there was always a house on the corner with a bunch of people there. And all I can remember thinking is, Lord, please don't let me run into these people. And that was the last thing I remember. The next thing I know, I woke up. I had impacted so hard that I was temporarily blind, and the only thing I could see was silhouettes of people. I couldn't actually see features. And I tried to get up. I'm laying there and I feel pine straw on my chest, and there's dirt in the cab. And I'm like, why is there dirt in the cab? And I tried to sit up and I hear a voice go, Sit back. You're hurt. You were in a bad accident. And I was like, wait, but I've I've gotta go check on my mom. And they were like, you're hurt. I'm like, well, if I'm talking to you, I ain't hurt that bad. And they were like, well, what's your mom's number? And I rattled off her phone number and I passed out. And when I came to again, I was in the back of the ambulance. And blonde haired EMT, she looked at me and she said, hi, Mr. Bryan. And I was like, I know you. She's like, yes, you do. Do you know where you are? And I looked around and I said, I think I'm in the ambulance. She said, do you know how you got here? I said, I think I hit a tree. She said, try 7 trees. I said, I stopped counting after 5. Passed out again. Woke back up in the ER. Neck brace on. They were telling me they've got me together now. Using my test results, x-rays, all that stuff like that. Nothing. My face was shattered. Airbag shattered my right cheekbone. Broke my jaw in 2 places. Broke my orbital socket. I still have a steel plate here. I still have a steel plate for my cheek. That's kind of why the eyes like that. And they let me go home. If you look up my Facebook page, there's a picture of that cab I was driving there. The owner of the cab company said he'd never seen a car so messed up and destroyed, and that the driver was still alive. These are just some of the things that I deal with. These are just some of the things that I've lived through. These are just some of the things that I've managed to survive and accomplish. You can do it too. I know that story kind of meandered, but I'm sharing stuff. That's how you connect. That's how you develop empathy with other beings that have been through similar things. Because there really is no one that can walk the exact same path you have. I don't care if 1,000,000 people have taken the same direction. They're still not going to walk in your footsteps, and you're still not going to walk exactly in theirs. Y'all be safe, man. It's a new year. Leave some of the old baggage behind you. I don't know what you've been through, but I know it's been a lot. And I need y'all. People with sickle cell, people without sickle cell, to have a little bit more patience with yourself and the people around you. And drop the racism stuff, man. Because guess what? They told you in middle school that the oldest known fossil of a human being was found in Africa. All human beings come from the continent of Africa. And Africa is the name that the Romans gave it. It had a different name before they ever got there. They were already seafarers and had civilizations and universities before the Romans ever got there, the Greeks ever got there. They were the ones that educated the Greeks. So we're all one race. We just need to be one people.